Hello, everyone. So today we're going to be starting the new meeting about our software development and the planning. So it's going to be the second time that we are actually meeting. While we are trying to develop this website, so the last time we wanted to talk about the techniques and also the team members. Um, Rudra and also we are in charge of the front end uh, and the product management. But also, so for Ayush is going to be the tech lead for the entire project. For Ojesh and Atara, also Nide, you're going to be taking charge of the backend. But just wanted to share some feedback of what's going on and then how the process is for the backend. Hello? I think you guys are
Yeah,
mute. Yeah, Tara, would you guys to share for the backend? You want to share like
yeah,
what's the process and what research have you been doing and what kind of deployment implementation that you are trying to do? And yeah, you want to share anything?
Yeah, so we went through the documentation and we identified a few backend APIs which we need to do, like login page and the other stuff. So we discussed like what type of login page we want. Do we want like a common login functionality for both the service receiver as well as the service provider, or we want like different login page for them? So yeah, so we had like a brief review of that, like what type of architecture we want for the login purpose and other functionalities.
Okay. What about Nile
yeah.
and Aujaz, Nile?
Yeah, so for me, to be more specific for the user registration page or the login page, we checked out the rover, like how they have done it, and we like came up with some of the features. Like think about the features, like what type of users that we want to add. So there could be three types of users there. We could have the service providers or the service takers, and we could have an admin page that could handle all the registration part. The second thing is the email options that we can like the sign up page. We could have an option of adding like a Google sign up using third party app or something, or we could simply have like email ID or password sign up just for the users, and then the user can select the type of the user, like if you're going to be the service provider or the service taker. So these are some of the fields that we have discussed on. Similarly, with the login page, like there could be several methods for login. So we could have social, like we could use Google sign up, Google's login for the login, as well as email and password. Then we could have like some kind of password recovery system in that. So we have to decide the workflow, like how it is going to be. So we have to still decide on that part. But yeah, this was just an overview of how we are proceeding with that.
Yeah,
So
and
we have to like create a high level design for the flow workflow, like how if we click on this page, what it's going to be. So we are working on that part right now. We are creating the design of that workflow.
yeah, and also on top of that, we're also thinking of what's for different logins. Like from we can probably use Google email IDs to log into the system, or even use JWT tokens. And in terms of databases, we are thinking of going with a relational database, probably using PostgreSQL. And that's when we go for, because mostly with Django, it's easier to go with Postgres because supported by the system. And on top of that, AWS has the PostgreSQL for with the Amazon RDS. So we might be using that, and it's going to be cost effective too for a lot of images and usually bulk data. We could probably be using S3 bucket, and it might be a easier way to go in terms when you look in terms of economic benefits we might be having, because with S3 buckets for regular size images or different data, we could use just the buckets, and for our transactional data, relational databases, we can be using with the AWS RDS.
So Ayush already published in the GitHub about the backend part. So not really sure like what's inside that, but so we would be started like checking what's going on, and hopefully three of you guys have been sharing for those techniques, and then just want you three of you guys can be like unified by the end. So it has to be um like after your meeting, backend meeting, um, what kind of techniques that you guys are going to use and have to be the same, but just being consideration, being mindful about the cybersecurity part, and that's it. And then after the login page is going to be redirect into the user's profile. The user's profile is going to be including in our next sprints. So it's going to be the next task we're going to do after the login, and the users must be uploading their uh, profile, and then it has to upload their photo. Oh, but also come back to the login part. So since we're gonna be targeting two users, one users is the one who actually uh, are going to hire someone for taking care of the dogs. The other one is going to be the freelancers that are going to take the job. And regarding to this, anyone have some solution that you can separate it? So on WordPress, you can just have the separated as administrator and as users. It's going to be users one and users two. So for this part, how do you guys come with a solution? Any idea? Josh, do you have any solution about how to separate the two types of users? But if you wanted to, do you want it to like, it doesn't matter, like as you log in, um, I think I think it's much easier that we just wanted to unify for the login credential. Everyone has to be the same. And after you log in, then we separate them. Better if you wanted to hire someone, or better if you want to uh, find a job. So
Mhm.
some websites are designed
So
by
I
this,
think I
some
think
websites.
I think we can like bifurcate during the registration part itself. Like one user will be like we could have options there that a user could select whether he is the service like he's the pet owner or he's the pet sitter, right? So there could be the option, and then from the user registration, it will be bifurcated, and then we could have the same login page for both of the users. Um, I mean, that's what I'm thinking, like as part of the overview.
Yeah, I agree
Okay,
with you. Like,
okay, sorry. So while I was actually doing some website the application, for example, right now I'm teaching the 3D prints in the school. So while I'm registering that account, so it gives me some options that I must be declare that I'm an educator, I'm a teacher. Then I just click that, and it's going to be signing in with my either Google email whatever sign-in credential is going to be leading to one platform, which is the uh, after I log in. And if I'm registered as a student or as a learner, I click the button after I log in or register, it's going to be login. It's going to redirect into another platform that I cannot create a class. I can just only to add a class. So after that, after you choose whatever you want to do, it's going to be direct you to a different page, a different profile, whatever. So any idea? I'll just
uh, I didn't understand the last thing you said, Thomas. Could you repeat it again? Sorry.
Okay, I said, okay, um, after you log in, and then you're gonna have two credentials. So you want to be, I just to give you example of one of the applications I'm using as a ThinkCAD, where this is a platform that I teach 3D design. And then by registering, it's gonna give you um, two options. You can just click as you are an educator, or you are
Right.
a student. So after you choose I'm an educator and then you log in, it's going to direct you to some platform that you can create a class
Right.
and add your classes as a roster, add your student name and create your class and add as many materials that you need. But if I register as a student, when I'm after finish registering, after I finish login, I'm not able to create a class. I can only to add a class and add you as a this is my teacher. So probably can also think about that way. What do you think?
Yeah, so as I said, I agree with Nilay too. Like, I think what Nilay initially said was basically in the initial page itself, the login, like the log sign up page, basically, the first thing we're gonna have is what do you want to log in as? Like, what do you want to create a user account as? So first, it's either gonna be, are you an educator? Like, are you, just as you said, it's, are you a student or an educator, right? So initially, when you go to, like, you might in a homepage, basically, we're gonna have two options. Are you gonna be a freelancer, or are you gonna be the one providing, like, finding freelancers for the pets? So when you do that, through, first of all, when you select on that, that sets the role of the user. So with, when you, that's the initial point when you set the role, and with specific role, we are going to allow in the accessibility of features and what functionalities they are allowed to do within that. So once you do that, I think the prime idea would be um, making sure that initially people find it very easy to switch into whatever they are choosing from, and from that the database is probably gonna be same, but it's just that the roles are gonna be distinct for distinct as per the users, type of users.
Yeah, so I think in the database itself, like if we talk about Postgres, we could have different tables for separate users. Like for the pet owners, we could have a separate table which would include different fields for the pet owners, and then for again the pet sitters could have a different field columns in a separate table. So like this, we can have different schemas, like different tables for different users, and then we can manage using that database scheme for both of these roles.
Okay, great. For the databases, you guys gonna be using MongoDB, right? To
Uh,
store.
so, so yeah, actually, for that, we have to decide on that part. Like, as Ojas is telling Postgres SQL, or like, we are not yet decided on that part. So, we have to think about different aspects. Like, if this is going to be scaled up, then we have to think on that perspective as well. So, we are working on that part.
Okay, Ayush has created one is originally I wanted you guys to use Django database only because that's sort of easier, but since Ayush said he already created a Flask, we can
Okay.
probably work on Flask, that's fine. So
Yeah, that works.
I'm hoping by next Wednesday or Thursday, the login page has been already created. So there is gonna be a user's requirements, the client's requirement for this. So by check in or select, there should be one function that is gonna be the front end. So Rudra and I will be taking charge of that, of the documentation. It's going to be the lawful issue by click of the using terms, the terms of use. So by click that, and that means that you're agreed to use this application and base out any like lawful uh, like concern. So that's not going to be back end. So just wanted to you guys to know that the feature should be over there. So it's going to be the front end. So Rudra and I will be in charge of this, the front end part. So hopefully by next Wednesday or Thursday, that the login page should be there, and let me know if you have any technical problem. And now I just wanted to also talk about the one topic that is actually involved in software management of. Can you guys see the slide?
Yes.
Okay. So since we're right now, I think the best way is to do the Agile methodology in order to develop this application, because the last times we already talked about 75% of the industry uses our Agile methodology. So it's going to be the Scrum process, which including the vision and what detailed, what kind of functionality that you guys wanted to develop for this is going to be involving the planning and then brainstorm and between teams and also with the clients, with the customers. And then you're going to be creating some user story that we actually had talked about the login page and after you log in and then what do you want to expect to see. So it's going to be the user story. Who can talk to me about product backlog? So what does that content mean in terms of Scrum process? Product backlog. Audresh?
I can start, sure. So product backlog is basically, it's like a list of all these features or whatever we want to get the things done. Like for the specific product we design, we think of the products, we think of the features, functionalities, and we have a list of what we need to do, and that's what's gonna go in the backlog. And through that product, this product backlog contains mostly of multiple sprints, whatever needs to be done, everything's already up there, and from that we break down into other sprint backlogs, selected product backlogs. So in product backlog, this is the entire encompassing, let's say, the list of the orders of things that we need to do, and this might be right now in the like the right next sprint, so it might be in future, and we have seen we have planned of with the as well as document and all the documentation we do with all the primary market research we do, we have what we want to build, the features, functional features, non-functional features, all of that, and what exactly are we going to be building. It's basically lists of that which can be broken down into users, other which can be broken down further for other backlogs.
Okay, very good. So while we're actually designing for the product backlog, there are a couple of what should be done and what should be in the to-do list, that including the user story. And most of the cases that we have to set up, which is in the higher priority, and then which is in secondary, primary priority and secondary priority, and it's just list which must be done like in a urgent. And then later on, once you find out you still have some capacity, then you can send people to do the other things. But the different company may have different management style. Who wants to share the content of what is sprint backlog?
Yeah, so I can go, Thomas. Yeah, so I think sprint backlog. So as O just said, that we have like list of all the tasks like divided into sub, smaller tasks that what needs to be completed overall. So whatever sprint or like sorry, whatever stories or epic we decide that needs to be done in a particular sprint. I think that all counts as sprint backlogs. So I think it can be like creating a user page for developer team, and for testing team, it can be like testing that web page. Yeah, so like these are like two examples. There might be like multiple teams working on the same task, and so yeah, like if we combine all of them, like the task and whatever stories they have to work on, it creates like it makes the sprint backlog.
Okay, very good. So anyone wants to share the idea of what is the 24 hours of Scrum, and then that goes in the 2 to 4 weeks of sprint. Rudra, you want to say something?
Yeah, sure. So the thing is like for the 2 to 4 week sprint, it is more like the total work we have assigned, we got assigned by the project manager, and we have certain tasks to complete. So we cannot complete each and every task in one day. So we decide whether we can do this particular small task into like a smaller segments. We can divide into smaller segments and then see if we can complete in the 24-hour daily scrum, and then see whether we have completed the part or not. And then that's how we divide the already segmented tasks given in the sprint backlog. So that is how 2 to 4 week sprint works with also the daily scrum. So we have to see whether the daily task is getting completed in respect to the 2 to 4 week sprint. And then if we have some certain new tasks and everything is correct, and then we just have to create like a new functionality we just publish to the users.
Okay, very good. So that
And
including the week 2 to 4 weeks sprints that are going to be in within the product manager and also the tech lead, also with the engineers. So every day that you guys is going to be hold with the meeting with the tech lead, Also the product manager may or may not necessarily have to join the Scrum, but should be join the daily Scrum. But for this, every product manager has to be involved with this activity. And then what we need to do is after the discussion, we're going to be create like a new functionality and also the new task. So that is also very, very important. And then after that is we're going to be going inside of the sprint review. The sprint review is going to be facing the team, and we're going to be talk about what could be done by this part. And then we were going to be sit down with a customer and then talk about the further steps, and then whether if this is good to reach the requirements and whether this is actually should be a further determination. Anyone wants to share something else?
So, so the retrospective part, is it generally done with the client, or like what's like who are involved in this particular session?
Okay, it depends on which type of company that you're working with. Usually the startup, because they have to are small, medium, I would say medium to small, or startups that they want to save money, and actually the PM and then the tech lead should be involved into the retrospective and then into the clients to collect some information and give them feedback. So this is so far that we can do the best based on the budget and based on our time frame. However, the big company for Google and Microsoft, the product manager may not necessarily every time they have to go for the clients because they're already busy themselves. So they're going to be an intermediate person that taking charge of this is going to be the project coordinator. Project coordinator is going to be doing the very, very tight bound of relationship with the clients, and then they have to understand everything of what the clients needs, but also it's going to be most likely they do not really know much about the technology that is behind. However, it must have some marketing and sales technology, and also because they have to be like very, very good at communication. So most of them are actually graduate from marketing or sales person, that those type of people that they're looking for. So it depends on what kind of company that you're working, better if it is a big tech or it's a small or startup, because we wanted to save money as a small. So we don't have money to hire more people. So the product manager in the small company is going to take in a lot of tasks. Even right now, I'm also like a coding. So
Yeah.
including
And
everything.
I think based on my experience, the idea is like whosoever joins the daily Scrum, I think the same people are like involved in the sprint retrospective, because like they have participated in the sprint, so they know like what they need to discuss, and like obviously they would be the people to retrospect whatever task was done over the sprint.
So in the real the process, sometimes a lot of times the clients will be giving me some requirements. However, like the previous customer, that he gave me those has to be done. So this functionality must be done. However, they give me the budget of only 2,500, and I immediately said this is not impossible. Only if I'm the developer myself, and then I'm not able to do with that budget. So basically, this guy in between of the real client, he's actually the project coordinator, but he's my direct client. Does that make sense? And then he's going to give me this quote, but this quote is actually out of his cost. So he's probably earning something out of us. And then the client is going to give some sometimes the client is going to give some very, very difficult tasks that we are unable to finish, or the current technology. We have a huge technology debt. In this case, the project manager and also the project is going to have a discussion with the client, because sometimes when they ask me to develop something that we actually have to charge them beforehand, because later on, if they choose the application, they don't want to do they don't want us to do the further maintenance. Does that make sense? So before the project started, we're gonna ask them two options, whether if you want us to do the maintenance or not. If they choose beforehand at the beginning, they're not going to let us do the further maintenance. So every time for the subscription and also for example, the payment process, what we use is Stripe. Anyone heard of Stripe? Okay. If you don't heard of Stripe, then how can you take over the payments? So Stripe is a company that is going to take the payments through the third party. So everyone who wants to make some subscription or want to make a purchase, you want to have your own e-commerce. So you use Stripe the most. So in that case, Stripe is very useful. So in this case, and we're gonna have the client, their account number. So that's why, but sometimes the platform, for example, AWS or GC, like Google platform, okay, cloud service, and they are going to charge based on the monthly subscription. Then in this case, we need to have the customers, their information, their credit card or whatever they're going to be putting in there. And then they're going to be taking over all the payments and we are not involved of that. Okay, any other things that we want to share before we end the meeting?
Yeah, just on top of that, I would also say it's like more of you also talk with the team for the for kind of the what you could have changed to better the action plan, because a lot of time if you don't have the users, you can't approach users in person. You also have the insights from the data, and that is what can help us as developers to probably build a better sprint for the during the next action plan too. So that can also be useful.
Okay, sure. Thank you for your advice. Actually, we still have one more topic we need to talk. So, the Agile is going to be divided into a couple of sprints. It's not only just the one sprint, it can be involving in multiple sprints. Each sprint is going to be the same process involving the brainstorm and then design, and then design is what kind of the user's interfaces, whatever, backend or functionality design that, and then you're going to be deploy and then deploy and develop. That means you wanted to develop the further functions and then and then after this process is done, it's going to be test. And then you have to test and then deploy your application. And then you wanted to come back, review and redo this process again. So it's going to be divided into a couple of sprints. Okay. Any other questions?
Beautifully explained.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nothing from my end.
So hopefully that you guys can go back and then talk a little bit about the backend part, and hopefully by next Wednesday or Thursday, and then the login page should be there. And Rudra and I will be making the front page, the front end of. Hopefully it will be done by within 2 to 3 weeks. I'm not gonna be exit that. Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Things good. Are you sure have any questions or no?
Yeah, hi guys. I joined late. I had another meeting. So this is mostly related to sprint Scrum, right? This meeting is related to Scrum, right?
Yes, we were talking about the backend part only. So because you already uploaded the Flask of whatever you had deployed so far, so we will be start from there. So the backend 3 guys are going to have a meeting on their end, and then they're going to be started and develop the login page.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
Yeah, we will have like something to showcase by next meeting.
Okay, sure. Yeah. Thank you guys for joining. Okay.
Thank you.
Ayush is going to be our tech lead. So just want to let you guys know.
Okay.
Okay.
Bye. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay.
Bye.
Bye. Have a good one.
Thank you, guys.